Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, March 29th. From the San Antonio Express News, my name is Luis Vasquez, and this is your Express Briefing. All of the stories you need to know to start your day. You can expect a high of 74 degrees and a lot of sun in San Antonio today. It's a good time to be a basketball fan in San Antonio, with the Spurs in the middle of a 9-game homestand and the NCAA women's basketball tournament rolling along. Heading into tonight's game against Sacramento, Spurs guard Derrick White has drawn 45 charges in 171 career NBA games. Neither bumps nor bruises, nor the occasional chipped tooth can stop him from sticking his nose in on defense. There's also a great game in the tournament in San Antonio tonight. As Connecticut makes its 15th consecutive appearance in the Elite Eight, it will renew what some have labeled the best women's basketball rivalry of the current century. UConn-Baylor Part 9 figures to make for pretty good television today too. And now let's move on to our top stories for the day. The University of Texas Health Science Center at San Antonio has started construction on its first hospital, a $430 million facility that will offer cutting-edge cancer treatment and staff experts to take on the most complex diseases that disproportionately affect people in South Texas. The 144-bed hospital will be built on 12.2 acres in the South Texas Medical Center on land donated by the San Antonio Medical Foundation and is funded by the University of Texas System's Capital Improvements Program. The cornerstone for the building will be unveiled today. Laura Garcia has what you need to know about the project, from timeline to design of the front lobby, in her latest article. As help wanted signs have been posted all over social media and other platforms, owners are finding that the pool of available workers has taken a serious bite, with both shortages for back of the house and front of the house positions. When COVID-19 hit and restaurant dining rooms were shut down, many had to lay off or furlough staff. Several of those workers moved on to other industries, and others decided to take a break from the hospitality scene as they were making more money on unemployment. Until restaurants can hire and fill more positions, it means long hours and new roles for those still on staff. You can read more about the situation in Chuck Blount's latest article. Slowing down local streets in Texas's biggest cities has momentum, but not a smooth route, as lawmakers take up a bill in Austin that advocates say will save lives. House Bill 442, proposed by State Rep. Celia Israel, would drop the base speed limit on most neighborhood streets from 30 miles an hour to 25 miles per hour in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, and Austin. Other cities could follow suit if they wished, Israel said. Supporters of the bill point to the safety benefits to pedestrians and the millions of dollars cities could save by not posting new signs. Skeptics worry about the unintended consequences and the capital control traffic laws. Have a closer look at both sides in Doug Bagley's latest article. If they aren't in town for the 15-day NCAA women's basketball tournament, it could take visitors to San Antonio a while to figure out that one of the biggest annual events in collegiate sports is unfolding here. The NCAA scrapped concerts and other fan events, hallmarks of its past tournaments in the city, to minimize the potential spread of COVID-19. The same reason the organization restricted the number of people who could attend the tournament's 64 games. Downtown hotels, restaurants, bars, and tourist attractions, key parts of San Antonio's ailing hospitality industry, are glad to have the NCAA business. But the tournament isn't the economic panacea they'd hoped for. Randy Diamond explains the shortcomings over in his latest article. 19 Senate Republicans, including Senators John Cornyn and Ted Cruz, toured the Rio Grande Valley and visited Border Patrol facilities, including one in Donna, where they tweeted out pictures that showed cramped conditions and kids sleeping on stone floors. Meanwhile, Representative Joaquin Castro of San Antonio led a group of 6 other House Democrats to Carrizo Springs, the site of a shelter for migrant children where the Biden administration this week allowed a TV crew to film kids playing soccer and grouped under a gazebo. Read more and see photos over at expressnews.com. Next up are your need-to-know headlines. You can find all of these headlines and more inside of your Express News subscription. Bexar County officials reached a 60-day agreement with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to house up to 2,400 unaccompanied migrant children at the Freeman Coliseum. It's official. There will be no federal vaccination center here, and it didn't take long for officials of the Federal Emergency Management Agency to make that decision. San Antonio is the largest city in Texas without a FEMA super site. With all Texas adults now eligible for the coronavirus vaccine, making an appointment could get even more competitive. But there's another way to secure a spot in line and feel good about it. We have how to volunteer in exchange for a shot over at expressnews.com. At long last, Dallas-Fort Worth is getting its first 2 H-E-Bs. The San Antonio-based company plans to open a store at 2 locations in the next 2 years. The area has a handful of Central Market stores already, but no H-E-B locations. Filling a dire need on the southeast side of San Antonio, Baptist Health System is adding labor and delivery services at its Mission Trail Hospital on Brook City Base starting in August. Tensions were high at the most recent Comal ISD board meeting as a divided crowd of more than 100 parents, students, and teachers gathered to support or deride trustees' abrupt decision to make masks optional in school buildings. A man who booked a stay at a motel on the day before a deadly Eastside shooting has been arrested. On April 30th, 30-year-old Joshua Barron Lewis was found dead with multiple gunshot wounds in the parking lot of a Super 8 motel, according to San Antonio police. A powerful Texas Senate committee heard testimony from more than 100 people on a wide-ranging bill that Republicans say will increase election integrity, while Democrats warn it is calculated to suppress the votes of people of color and those with disabilities. 3 of the 7 seats on Harlandale ISD's Board of Trustees are up for grabs on May 1st. The election will be Harlandale's first since the Texas Education Agency appointed a conservator to oversee the district after years of board infighting and ethics issues. We have everything you need to know about the candidates over at expressnews.com. Larry McCurdy, whose brilliant poetic and probing writings about the dreamers, the ditherers, and the depressed in Texas spanned 6 decades, has died. He was 84. Business columnist Chris Tomlinson writes, quote, "As the end of the pandemic begins, we need to think long and hard about how businesses will be different and how we might prepare for different jobs." Read the full column over at expressnews.com. From Greg Jefferson's latest Restless City column, quote, "The San Antonio and Austin metro areas are converging into a mega region. The population blob that's forming around us has tremendous potential to create wealth. But cities across the region need to drop their parochialism to reap as much of the rewards as they can." Unfortunately, willful ignorance has permeated much of our immigration debate, taking a complex problem with no easy solutions and reducing it to a set of archaic buzzwords that don't apply to our current circumstances. You can read more in Gilbert Garcia's latest column. Columnist Elena Ayala writes on the migrant youth coming to San Antonio, "In 2005, when the Gulf Coast was devastated by Hurricane Katrina, San Antonio became a refuge for evacuees, as they came to be called. Central American migrant youth coming our way soon deserve no less." This week in history, on March 31st, 1981, President Ronald Reagan was shot outside a Washington, D.C. hotel by John Hinckley Jr. He suffered a bullet wound in the chest, but with surgery recovered and was able to get back to business. Quote, Reagan told his wife Nancy, who rushed to the hospital from the White House, "Honey, I forgot to duck." Concerned aides asked, "Who's minding the store?" and joshed with the doctor saying, "I hope you all are Republicans." That, according to a story on the front page of the San Antonio Light. Meals on Wheels' San Antonio client Brenda Love has learned firsthand that the friendly people at the nonprofit offer more than good food and conversation during their daily visits. They installed an air conditioning unit in her northeast side trailer that helped her keep cool during the brutal summer heat. When temperatures dipped near freezing, they set her up with a small heater. So after the February winter storm left Love with busted water pipes, she knew where to turn. Love is one of the nonprofit's clients helped by Comfy Casas, a program that seeks to improve living conditions through home repairs. Read more about the program in Vincent T. Davis' latest story. The best food trucks aren't just the ones that taste great, they're the ones that tell a story. And Milpa's food truck's Tacos Árabes tell the story of pork cooked and spiced like shawarma by Middle Eastern immigrants to the Mexican state of Puebla. You can read the full 52 weeks of food trucks review over at expressnews.com. Calvin Finch is your guide to the best tomatoes to plant this spring. And in his down-to-earth column, Neil Sperry answers readers' questions about xylosma plants, Norfolk Island pines, and more. After reportedly agreeing to sign with the star-studded Brooklyn Nets, LaMarcus Aldridge could face the Spurs in a late-season game with playoff implications for both teams. The Spurs will sign veteran bigman Gorgui Dieng after waiving Marquise Chriss. Alamo Heights' Connor Foote and Johnson's Jada Scott earned top honors in our list of best swimmers of the year. See the full Express News all-area swimming and diving teams over at expressnews.com. And that's all for today. This was your Express Briefing for Monday, March 29th. My name is Luis Vasquez. Please consider becoming an Express News subscriber to get in-depth coverage on all the stories you heard today. Also, be sure to rate and review this podcast inside of your Apple Podcast app, as it really helps the show. Have a wonderful Monday, everyone.